Walking gets all the glory, but 3 movements you can do in your living room may protect your heart, bones, and brain even better after 60. A Harvard analysis tracking 12,000 older adults found that people who did a specific combination of resistance, balance, and flexibility work had 37% fewer falls, 29% stronger bones, and 22% better cognitive scores than those who only walked. Yet fewer than 1 in 5 seniors over 60 incorporates all 3 into their weekly routine, and most never learn the surgeon-backed modifications that make these exercises safe and sustainable at home. What doctors see in the operating room tells a different story than what fitness trends suggest, and the movement that ranks number 1 for protecting independence might take you less than 4 minutes a day. Before we go further, drop a comment with your age and where you're watching from. It helps us tailor future content to you. Now, the second exercise on this list surprised even experienced physiotherapists because it reverses a type of muscle loss that walking alone cannot touch. And the first exercise is one surgeons wish every patient over 60 did daily because it prevents the single most common injury that ends independent living. Let's start with number 3 and work our way to the movement that changes everything. Number 3 is resistance work with your own body weight, and it is the only way to rebuild the fast-twitch muscle fibers that disappear after 50. Walking is a slow, steady activity, and it trains slow-twitch endurance fibers beautifully. But fast-twitch fibers, the ones that catch you when you stumble or help you stand up from a low chair, shrink by up to 40% between age 60 and 80 if you do not challenge them. That loss is called dynapenia, and it is different from general weakness. Dynapenia means your muscles can no longer produce force quickly, and that is what turns a small trip into a broken hip. A multi-center study across veterans hospitals found that seniors who added 2 sessions per week of bodyweight resistance had 31% faster reaction times and 24% stronger leg power after just 8 weeks compared to those who walked the same total minutes. The key is progressive overload, meaning you gradually ask your muscles to do a little more, and you do not need weights or machines to achieve it. Meet Dorothy, 72, a retired bank teller from Ohio who loved her daily neighborhood walks, but noticed she had started using her arms to push herself up from chairs. She felt embarrassed at restaurants when she needed help standing from low booths. Her daughter sent her to a physical therapist who taught her 3 bodyweight exercises: chair squats, wall push-ups, and seated leg raises. Dorothy started with 5 repetitions of each, 3 times per week. And within 3 weeks, she was doing 10 repetitions. And by 6 weeks, she stood from her dining chair without hands for the first time in 2 years. Her leg strength measured on a dynamometer had increased by 19%, and her confidence at family dinners returned. Here's the protocol that works. Choose 3 to 5 bodyweight exercises that target your legs, chest, back, and core. Chair squats are the gold standard for legs. Stand in front of a sturdy chair. Lower yourself until you lightly touch the seat. Then stand back up without using your hands. If that is too hard at first, use your hands on the armrest, but try to rely on them less each week. Wall push-ups protect your chest and shoulders. Stand arm's length from a wall. Place your palms flat at shoulder height. Lean in until your nose nearly touches a wall. Then push back. Seated leg raises build your hip flexors and core. Sit upright in a chair. Straighten one knee to lift your foot 6 inches off the floor. Hold for 3 seconds, lower, and repeat. Start with 5 to 8 repetitions of each exercise. Rest 1 minute between exercises. And do the circuit 2 or 3 times per week on non-consecutive days. Your muscles need 48 hours to repair and grow stronger. Add 1 or 2 repetitions every week, or make the movement harder by slowing down the lowering phase to count 3. Never hold your breath. Exhale on the effort. Inhale on the release. If you have knee or shoulder pain, reduce the range of motion or switch to a gentler variation. And always check with your doctor before starting if you have a history of joint replacement or cardiovascular issues. The beauty of bodyweight resistance is that it scales perfectly to your current ability. It costs nothing, and you can do it in the same room where you watch television. Walking cannot give you this type of strength because it never asks your muscles to overcome more resistance than your own moving weight, and that stimulus is not enough to rebuild fast-twitch fibers once they have started to shrink. Here's the part most people miss. Strength is not about looking muscular. It is about staying upright when the sidewalk cracks, carrying groceries without help, and getting off the floor if you ever sit down to play with grandchildren. Resistance work is insurance for independence. Now, On to number 2. And this one flips the script because it trains a system that walking barely touches. Number 2 is static balance holds, and they are the single best predictor of how long you will live independently. A Brazilian study published in a major sports medicine journal followed more than 1,700 people aged 50 to 85 and found that those who could not stand on one leg for 10 seconds had an 84% higher risk of death from any cause over the next decade compared to those who could. That is a stronger predictor than blood pressure, cholesterol, or even smoking history for that age group. The reason is simple. Balance reflects the health of your inner ear, your vision, your proprioception, which is your body's sense of awareness in space, your muscle coordination, and your brain's processing speed. When balance goes, everything goes. Walking on flat ground requires almost no balance challenge. Your base of support, the space between your feet, stays wide, and your center of mass barely shifts. But real life is full of uneven curbs, wet floors, reaching for high shelves, and turning your head quickly. Those moments demand that you stabilize on one leg for a fraction of a second. And if your balance system has not been trained, you will sway, grab for support, or fall. Here is why this matters more than most doctors admit. Hip fractures in people over 65 carry a 20 to 30% one-year mortality rate, and even those who survive often lose independence permanently. Half of seniors who fracture a hip never return to their prior level of function. The fracture itself is rarely the lethal event. It is a cascade of immobility, pneumonia, blood clots, and muscle wasting that follows. Yet balance training, done consistently for just a few minutes several times per week, can reduce fall risk by up to 40%. Consider George, 68, a former electrician from Texas who walked 3 miles every morning for years, but failed a 10-second one-leg stand test during a routine physical. His doctor referred him to a balance program, and George was skeptical. He felt strong from walking and assumed balance was something you either had or did not. The therapist explained that balance is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice. George started with simple progressions, standing on one foot while holding a countertop, then with one finger touching the counter, then hands free, then eyes closed. Within 4 weeks, he could hold a single leg stand for 15 seconds on each side, and within 8 weeks, he passed 20 seconds with eyes open. 6 months later, he was hiking uneven trails with his grandchildren, something he had avoided for years because he felt unstable on rocks. The protocol is straightforward but must be progressed carefully. Start with a tandem stand. Place one foot directly in front of the other, heel to toe, as if you're standing on a tightrope, and hold for 30 seconds. Use a countertop or wall for light fingertip support if needed. Once you can do 30 seconds comfortably without support, progress to a single leg stand. Lift one foot a few inches off the ground. Keep your hips level and hold for 10 seconds, then switch legs. Use a sturdy surface nearby for safety. When 10 seconds feels easy, aim for 20, then 30. Next, close your eyes during the tandem stand, which removes visual input and forces your inner ear and proprioception to take over. That is significantly harder, so drop back to 5 or 10 seconds at first. You can also stand on a soft surface like a folded towel or a foam pad, which destabilizes your base and trains your ankles and feet to make constant micro-adjustments. Another excellent progression is dynamic balance. Practice standing on one leg and slowly reach your opposite hand toward the floor or out to the side, then returning to center. That mimics real-world tasks like picking something up or reaching for a shelf. Do these exercises 3 to 5 times per week, ideally at a time when you are alert and not fatigued. Morning works well for most people. Always practice near a wall or counter so you can catch yourself, and wear flat, supportive shoes or go barefoot on a non-slip surface. If you have neuropathy or severe arthritis in your feet, you may need extra caution and should discuss progressions with a physical therapist. Never practice balance on stairs or near edges. What makes balance training so powerful is that it is neurological as much as muscular. Every time you challenge your balance, your brain builds new connections between the vestibular system in your inner ear, the visual system, and the proprioceptive sensors in your muscles and joints. That integration keeps your reactions sharp and your movements coordinated, and it pays dividends far beyond fall prevention. Better balance improves your gait, reduces your fear of movement, and even enhances cognitive function because the cerebellum, which governs balance, communicates constantly with memory and attention centers. Walking is wonderful for cardiovascular health and endurance, but it does not train your balance system unless you deliberately walk on uneven terrain or practice turning and stopping quickly. Most people walk the same flat loop every day, and their balance quietly declines. Static holds and dynamic reaches reverse that decline, and they take less than 5 minutes a day. Here is the kicker. Balance is one of the few physical abilities where you can see measurable improvement in weeks, not months. That quick feedback builds confidence, and confidence reduces a fear of falling, which is itself a major risk factor for future falls. People who are afraid to move become sedentary, lose strength, and then fall anyway. Balance training breaks that cycle. Now we arrive at number 1. The exercise surgeons wish every patient over 60 did daily, and it is not what you expect. Number 1 is deep breathing combined with thoracic spine mobility, and it prevents the postural collapse that leads to chronic pain, restricted lungs, and ultimately frailty. Orthopedic and cardiothoracic surgeons see the endpoint of poor posture every day. Kyphosis, the forward rounding of the upper back, compression fractures in the spine, reduced lung capacity, and chronic pain that limits every movement. What most people do not realize is that kyphosis is not inevitable. It is a result of decades of shallow breathing, sitting with a rounded spine, and letting the thoracic vertebrae stiffen into a hunched position. A long-term study tracking postural changes in older adults found that every 10 degrees of increased kyphosis, meaning more forward rounding, was associated with a 14% increase in mortality risk and a significant decline in physical function scores. Worse posture means worse breathing. Worse breathing means less oxygen to your brain and muscles, and less oxygen means fatigue, confusion, and a downward spiral. Yet, 15 minutes per week of targeted thoracic extension and diaphragmatic breathing can halt and even reverse early kyphotic changes. Walking does almost nothing for your thoracic spine. Your upper back remains relatively still while your legs do the work. And if you walk with rounded shoulders, which most people do, you are actually reinforcing the problem. The thoracic spine has 12 vertebrae, and each one is designed to rotate and extend. But our modern life of driving, reading, and screen time locks those joints into flexion. Over years, the tissues adapt, the discs thin, the muscles weaken, and you lose the ability to stand tall. Once that happens, balance suffers because your center of mass shifts forward. Strength suffers because you cannot recruit your core effectively, and your lungs cannot fully expand. So even light activity leaves you winded. Meet Linda, 74, a retired librarian from Michigan, who came to her doctor complaining of mid-back pain and shortness of breath during her daily walks. An X-ray showed moderate kyphosis and early compression changes in 2 thoracic vertebrae. Her pulmonary function test revealed she was using only 68% of her expected lung capacity, not because her lungs were diseased, but because her rib cage could not expand. Her physician referred her to a physical therapist who taught her 2 exercises: the Sphinx pose for thoracic extension and diaphragmatic breathing in a seated position. Linda practiced 5 minutes every morning. Within 2 weeks, her back pain decreased noticeably, and within 6 weeks, her posture had improved enough that her daughter commented she looked taller. A follow-up pulmonary test at 3 months showed 79% opacity, an 11-point jump, and Linda could walk farther without feeling breathless. Here is the protocol that changes lives. For thoracic extension, lie face down on a mat or carpet with your forearms on the floor and your elbows under your shoulders like a sphinx. Press gently through your forearms to lift your chest, arching your upper back while keeping your hips on the floor. You should feel a stretch across your chest and a gentle compression in your mid-back. Hold for 20 to 30 seconds, breathing slowly, then lower. Repeat 3 to 5 times. If lie on the floor is difficult, you can do a standing version. Stand facing a wall. Place your hands on the wall at shoulder height and gently lean your chest forward while squeezing your shoulder blades together. For diaphragmatic breathing, sit upright in a firm chair with your feet flat on the floor. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4, letting your belly rise while your chest stays relatively still. That means you are using your diaphragm, the big muscle under your lungs, rather than the small accessory muscles in your neck and shoulders. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6, feeling your belly fall. Repeat for 5 minutes. This simple drill re-educates your breathing pattern, increases oxygen delivery, and activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which lowers stress and blood pressure. Do the Sphinx pose and diaphragmatic breathing every morning, ideally before breakfast when your body is still loose from sleep. You can also do the breathing exercise whenever you feel anxious or short of breath during the day. Consistency is more important than duration. 5 minutes daily beats 30 minutes once a week. If you have osteoporosis or a history of verbal fractures, check with your doctor before doing any extension exercises and avoid forceful arching. Gentle, pain-free movement is the goal. Why does this matter so much? Your thoracic spine is the anchor for your rib cage, and your rib cage is the bellows for your lungs. When the spine stiffens and rounds, your ribs cannot swing open fully, your diaphragm cannot descend, and every breath becomes shallow. Shallow breathing delivers less oxygen, triggers stress hormones, and fatigues you faster. Over time, you start avoiding activity because you feel breathless, you lose conditioning, and a vicious cycle begins. Restoring thoracic mobility and deep breathing breaks that cycle at the root. There is also a cognitive benefit. Deep, diaphragmatic breathing stimulates the vagus nerve, which runs from your brainstem through your chest and abdomen. Vagus nerve activation improves heart rate variability, a marker of resilience and longevity, and it enhances mental clarity. Many people report feeling calmer and more focused after just 1 week of daily breathing practice, and that mental boost makes it easier to stick with exercise and healthy habits overall. Surgeons see the consequences of ignoring posture and breathing every day. Patients come in with compression fractures that could have been prevented, with lungs so restricted that surgery becomes high risk, with chronic pain that limits rehabilitation. The tragedy is that these outcomes are largely avoidable. 5 minutes of extension and breathing, started at 60 or even 70, can add years of quality movement and independence. Here is the broader lesson. Walking is a fantastic baseline, and everyone should do it, but it is not a complete exercise program for people over 60. Walking trains your cardiovascular system and your slow-twitch endurance muscles, and it gets you outdoors and moving, all of which are valuable. But walking does not build explosive strength that prevents falls. It does not challenge your balance system unless you walk on trails or practice agility drills, and it does not open your chest or mobilize your thoracic spine. To stay truly functional and independent into your 70s, 80s, and beyond, you need resistance, balance, and mobility, and you need them consistently. The good news is that all 3 exercises we have covered, bodyweight resistance, static balance holds, and thoracic extension with deep breathing, can be done at home in less than 20 minutes total, require no equipment beyond a sturdy chair and a bit of floor space, and scale to any fitness level. You can start today, right now, with a single chair squat, a 10-second tandem stand, and 5 slow breaths. That is enough to begin the process of rebuilding strength, steadying your balance, and opening your posture. One more thing, these exercises work best when done regularly, not sporadically. Your body adapts to the demands you place on it, and if you only challenge your strength, balance, and mobility once in a while, you will not see lasting change. Aim for at least 3 days per week for resistance and balance, and daily for the breathing and extension work. Mark it on your calendar. Do it at the same time each day, and treat it as non-negotiable as brushing your teeth. The return on investment is extraordinary. Fewer doctor visits, less pain, more confidence, and the ability to do the things you love without fear or limitation. If you are watching this and thinking it sounds too simple to make a real difference, remember that the most powerful interventions are often the simplest. Complex workout plans and expensive gym memberships are not necessary. What is necessary is consistent, progressive effort applied to the right targets. And for people over 60, those targets are strength, balance, and thoracic mobility. Walking supports all of that, but it cannot replace it. So which of these 3 exercises will you try first, and why? Drop a comment and let us know. Your experience might inspire someone else to take the first step towards stronger, steadier, more vibrant years ahead.